Good day and welcome to Putnam Talk Radio. I'm John Marino and we are made possible by Entergy. We say thank you to everybody over at Entergy, the Indian Point Energy Center, for all you've done for our communities throughout the years. We are produced by Sharc Creative here on the Cup of Joe political show on Putnam Talk Radio. We are joined here today by Southeast Town Supervisor Tony Hay. Tony Hay as the supervisor of the town of Southeast. Tony Hay, welcome to Putnam Talk Radio. I know it's been a challenging year plus for you, like it has for everybody around our tri-state area and around our country. COVID vaccines, we are many months into the vaccine rollout locally in your town. Are you happy with the way distribution has gone?
Yes, I'm pleasantly surprised. Things went very well. I think Putnam County did an excellent job in rolling out the vaccine and getting people vaccinated. We do have a site here in the town of Southeast up at the Lakeview Shopping Center, and I hear nothing but good comments about how it's been done.
You say something interesting. You're pleasantly surprised about the success of the rollout. Why do you say that?
Government always doesn't do things right, but once in a while they do.
How about reopening around Southeast and around the entire area in Putnam and northern Westchester, which is right below you, and Southeast, which is basically comprised of Brewster? Reopening, are we going too fast right now? Are we going a shade too slow? Or are we doing this just about right?
Well, most of us take our marching orders from higher authority, in this case, the CDC, federal government, state government. So we're kind of following their lead. I was skeptical in the beginning. Things seem to get better. The numbers are going down. So I think we're in line, but I don't think it's going to come back the way people think. I mean, I know a lot of people won't go to the movie theaters. When I go to stores now, I carry my mask in my hand. Some have the regulations still in effect. Wearing a mask, I don't think is a problem whatsoever, but there are people that don't like to wear a mask, but I don't have a problem with it personally.
Mm-hmm. How about the way all of this has transpired to try to get us back to a normal way of life? Have there been too many layers of bureaucracy throughout this pandemic, from the CDC all the way down to locally?
Yes, big time.
In what ways?
Well, you hear conflicting things, like when we were having this, governor was on TV every day. I swear to God, we hear something like at 11 o'clock in the morning, his news announcement, and by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it had changed. During the height of the pandemic, things were really pretty bad. I mean, as far as communication, telling towns, villages, and whatever, what they should or should not do. But there's going to be, in the future, and there will be a future, I think, with something like this. Hopefully it's not for another 50 years. There's just got to be a better way of communicating with towns, villages, and there's got to be a higher authority, but it should pertain to all.
Has the success of the vaccine kind of eliminated a lot of that bureaucracy, made things a lot more simple now?
Yes, again, when I said pleasantly surprised, I'm really very happy to see the way it's been rolled out across the country and locally. I am very pleasantly surprised.
Why do you think the vaccine effectiveness that we've seen so far has taken place the way it has? It takes over 30 years generally to develop a successful vaccine. Here we are in 1 year's time. Even less than a year's time, we developed a pretty good vaccine, seems to be so far, and we wonder why we can't get a flu vaccine that's above 55% effectiveness. We can't get an AIDS vaccine. We've been trying to get that for almost 40 years now. Here we are a year into a pandemic, and we have a vaccine that's 90 to 95% effective in some ways, and I'm not a math major, certainly, but those numbers don't add up. Or is it maybe we had to make sure this vaccine worked the way it does?
Well, I think there was a bigger cooperation amongst the world, which you don't normally see on it. And I think that was probably the biggest effect that it had on it.
Mm-hmm. How about budgets locally in Southeast? And being local as you can be when you are in charge of a town like you are the town of Southeast, which is not of a great size, a pretty decent sized town in Putnam County. Trickle down is something I guess you depend on economically. Federal stimulus to the state of New York. The state of New York down to Putnam County down the chain locally to you. What kind of adjustments have you had to make budgetarily in Southeast this past year, 14 months?
Well, actually, the budget we prepare each year, which is my responsibility, town board, we every year vote on a budget. I've been actually, you said 2 terms. I'm into my 3rd and final term. I'll announce today. I got 2.5 years to go, and our budget was good. Our numbers did fall off big time with recreation. As you know, there was no social gathering, social distancing, which was a killer to us. And the second biggest problem we had, of course, with the courts. The courts were actually closed down, and those are 2 of our bigger sources of revenue, other than the taxation of the public. So our budget this past year, we took no raises here in the town of Southeast. All the unions have worked with us this year because it was a first of a 4-year contract. And we just held tight. I'm not 100% happy, I guess I would say, is the way things went, because there was about 60 days at one point in time where half the people would work, the other half would not. But there were a few people, the highway department got to come in every day because they're essential workers. And I found our most essential workers here in the town was not the supervisor, not the town board, but our accounting department. Because I'm telling you now, you wouldn't have gotten your paycheck. And they did an absolutely great job. And I wish I could give them a bonus, but there's nothing that allows that to happen. But they did a fabulous job. So our accounting department held us together during that period of time.
I want to talk budgets a little more, but I want to go back. I want to backtrack a second on something you said. Is this going to be your final term in office?
Yeah, I've been around for a long time. I was a 19-year county legislator. I'll be having 12 years at the end of 2.5 years. I love what I do. I put in 60 to 70 hours a week. But you know what? I'll be 76 at the end of my term, and I got things I want to do. I don't know what, but I want to do them.
You'll figure it out as you go along, right?
Yes, I will.
Yeah. When did your term come to an end?
2.5 years. I got the number. It's like 900 and some days, but I'm not counting.
All right. You still have a ways to go, right? Before you get there.
Oh, yeah.
And who knows what comes up, obviously, between now and then, too. Is there any chance you might change your mind within 2.5 years' time?
Believe it or not, people are asking me to change my mind. But how long do you work? I mean, you could be dead tomorrow. So there's things in life I want to do that I haven't done. Fortunately, over time, you make enough money, you can do things you want. I can afford to eat, and I guess that's one of the most important things. I have a place to live and sleep and eat, and that's life to me. I never got married, so I'm happy with eating and sleeping.
All right. Well, congratulations to you on your decision. Like I say, 2.5 years still to go, so I'm sure much will transpire between now and then. The federal stimulus money that came down, did Putnam County and Brewster, Southeast, locally receive enough of that stimulus?
Well, they identified we were going to receive quite a bit of money. I don't recall the exact number. I know it was like 2.3 million. It was quite a bit of money. But they really haven't told us how we would obtain it. So since it was announced, I have not heard a word about, but I understand it's only to maybe make up for the lost revenue, which we lost with the recreation department and the courts. And other than that, we were not, really harmed in any way. The unfortunate thing is the taxpayers still had to pay. And a lot of our taxpayers, as you may be well aware, were not working. A lot of people don't have medical insurance. They didn't work. The stimulus monies that they got for unemployment, which I think was outrageous the way the government did it. I mean, people were making $200 a week. We're now getting $600 a week, and that was pretty poor. I think, again, I know they went into the bank to take all this money, and I won't even say it's real money. We're talking, billions of dollars. Someone's going to pay for this in the end. And I just read today in the paper about people with homes and their mortgages and people who pay rent. There's money out there. I know a person has an apartment that they rent out, and they haven't collected like in a year and a half, but they still got to pay the mortgage on it, and they got to. There's got to be a better system in the future how to determine who gets money and how it goes down.
Has the tax base picked up a bit in town locally ever since we started to evolve step by step out of this pandemic?
Well, the one thing is in Putnam County, we don't share sales tax. And if there's any improvement in the economy, we don't see it. I mean, the taxpayers pay most of our bills. Like I said, we get some money from courts. We get it from, like I said, the Southeast Station parking. But we don't get a lot of money from the government. Now, Putnam County will say, oh, we give you sheriff's patrol, we give you this, we give you that. I don't agree with that. When I was a county legislator, I believed in the sharing of sales tax revenue. So since we don't share in a revenue that may have gone down, we weren't hurt as much.
Mm-hmm. So that was a good thing in that way, although overall you do want that piece of pie, as you said, when you were a county legislator, you fought for that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Now, infrastructure around town. Here, by the way, on Putnam Talk Radio with Southeast Town Supervisor Tony Hay. I'm John Marino. And infrastructure around the town. We have the warm weather months here now, and things just happen on roads in unexpected ways, where you get a big gap on the road that a week ago you may have driven by, and now it's a huge pothole. The warmer it gets, we've had some warm weather days recently, the more things expand on the road, the more repairs have to be made of potholes and other problems that develop too, like utility problems can develop, and a lot of water problems, water pipeline problems, and more. The infrastructure around town. Are you happy with where that's at right now as we hit the summer?
Well, I don't want to say no, because I know the highway department under Mike Burdick, town highway superintendent, and his crew do an absolutely fabulous job. Over the past year and a half that Mike's been at the helm, I have received nothing but compliments about how the highway department's run. They have a lot of work to do. They're allotted so much money, but like in Brewster Heights, the roads and the infrastructure repair up there, we estimated 3 years ago being $8 million. We don't have $8 million. I would think one thing, if anything, the government should find better ways to help smaller municipalities such as ours to get grant monies, or maybe the county should help the towns with applying for grants, because we can't afford a grant writer. They get all kinds of grants. But infrastructure-wise, Mike's got quite a few lists of roads that have to get done this year, and he's going to try to get done. We have about, I think it's like 90 miles of road that has to be done. And he's doing and catching up on it bit by bit. But by the time you get done at the end of 8-year cycle, you're right back to square one again. But
shouldn't this federal stimulus program solve everything for you locally? Oh, wait a second. There's not much for infrastructure in the federal program, right?
No, yeah, nothing there. And even with the money, they still haven't told us how we get to it. And if the only thing we recoup is for the the parking revenues lost and the court revenues lost, it'll help. But it's not going to solve many problems.
How about the new federal infrastructure bill proposed by President Biden? Might some money be available there locally, or is this seemingly supposed to go to other things that they call infrastructure, more like social infrastructure instead of roadway and broadband and waterline infrastructure, which we need?
Well, we were looking for grants way back when Donald Trump became president, and I heard the grant writer that we hired at the time about this money that was going to be coming forward. Well, that money never came. I'm not going to hold out too much hope for it. I think we'll maybe go to the wrong programs, but there's just got to be a better way of dividing that money up for everybody that needs it. Like if I need, say, $8 million, I'll get $800,000 or I'll get $80,000. But it's got to be fair to everybody.
Sodom Road is closed for 6 months. Bridge work going on there. Some say that's a problem, that the detours posted to get around Sodom Road are a bit complicated. If they had a simple detour, well, they could live with that. How do we work around that? Or is this detour not as complicated as some make it out to be?
Well, I'm a local. I've lived here since 1956, so I know all the back roads. Okay, but it's not complicated. All you got to do is be able to read the sign and go around it. Now, I have to change my plan to come to work every day. I don't like coming south on Route 22 because of the possibility of an accident. So I always try to come north. So I can't do that in the mornings anymore, or I have to make a larger detour. But it's a necessity without a doubt. And I don't think it's that complicated. I did put on our webpage directions how to do it, and if you can follow directions, it's not a problem.
So you put those directions up on the webpage then?
Yes, we did.
Wow.
Easy to read ones. I mean, plain English, because a lot of times they don't put things in English. But the bigger problem is, when I was a county legislator, they closed Prospect Hill Bridge. They had closed it, and it was supposed to be for 6 months, and it took like well over 10 years. But I'm told that's not going to happen this time, but I just hope they do get it done within 6 months.
Mm-hmm. By the end of the year, it should be done, I guess, by the holidays.
That's what they say.
By then. Okay, we hope, as you say.
Yes.
Open space around Southeast. How important is it to preserve open space, knowing that this has been a problem throughout our tri-state area for 40, 50 years now, the clamor for save, preserve open space?
Well, I do believe, and that's why, some of the environmentalists don't agree with me. We have a tremendous amount of open space, and it's all because of the New York City watershed. I mean, you go around our town, we have beautiful lakes, beautiful streams, and much of it is protected and owned by New York City DEP. Actually, in our town, it actually hinders development because of the rules and regulations. But I think in our town, there's a lot. Do you have more? People want to spend money. They had an open space referendum here at one point in time. They approved $5 million. They spent about $2.2 million. And personally, I voted against it. I think there's tons of open space. They're trying to buy a property that you probably can't build on anyway. So, why buy a piece of property? It's going to remain open space because it's wet. There's tremendous. I think there's a tremendous amount of open space. There are people who won't agree with me, but I'm telling you, you're right up here to the town of Southeast and look, and you see a lot of beautiful open space land.
Is there more development needed in town?
There is, but I'm not sure where you could put it. I mean, the Route 22 corridor and the Route 6 corridor going toward Carmel is probably the most important one. Route 312 is probably overdeveloped, but if a person owns the land, you can't tell them no. But development is, I think, fair. It's moving.
Summer 2021 is here. Outdoors, indoors, events we lost a year ago. What's happening around Southeast during the warm weather months?
Well, our town park is opening up now at this point in time. The summer is basically Memorial Day weekend till Labor Day. So our town park is opening. We have some good things happening up this year. We had a park up there. It's called Tenette Lake Park, and it had a sub-name called Castle Park. And it was built, I think back in 90 possibly. And it outlived itself, okay? So we had to take that down, and we're replacing it this year. We got some money. There was one development that went in with housing, and we get money from that, so we use that. Ace Indico contributed $23,000 to another playground for that same area. We just put in a brand new basketball court. We refurbished the parking up there. Now, what they did do here in the town of Southeast is they put in the bike trail that runs from Southeast north toward Patterson as part of the bikeway. That's going to, I guess, you go from New York to Canada, from what I'm hearing. And we have a tremendous amount of people parking on the side of our roadways, in our town park, and it's really becoming a problem.
Tony Hay is the supervisor, town of Southeast. Tony Hay, do we see a light finally at the end of this COVID tunnel?
Yes, I think things are progressing very nicely. I know they're down now to the age group of 5 to 12 or something like that. I think things are better, but I really, as a former businessman, because I was in business for 36 years here in the town of Southeast, I would have never survived COVID. My business, I would have been out of business. I really feel bad for all the businesses that suffered. Many had to go out of business, not as many as in certain areas, but it was a tough way to try to make a living. You still had to pay your rent. If you're a landlord, people couldn't afford to pay. Here in town, personally, I had mortgages, and the first thing I did, I was able to at least tell the people, you need help, I could help you. But not everyone was that lucky. It's. I don't know if some will ever recover. I mean, it takes a long time to come back after a year and 3 months of doing no business or very little business. It's really a tough challenge.
Mm-hmm. What kind of a business did you have?
Oh, I started in automotive speed equipment. Then I went to the sale of tapes and electronics, and then lottery tickets, believe it or not. And then I went into beer and soda, my last 13 years in business.
A wide variety of businesses you had.
Yes, it is.
Automotive. I like that car behind you, that vintage classic white car, and that picture behind you, that framed photo up there on the wall. Is that a 56?
57.
57. You came to Southeast in 56. I was born that same year. How do you like that?
Well, I came in 57.
57 you came, okay.
And as a kid, I used to babysit I lived in Bruce Heights in 57, and the gentleman that lived behind us, he worked for General Motors. So, he had Corvette books and stuff like that. The two cars I always wanted was a 57 T-Bird and a 63 Corvette, and I got them both.
You got them both. You're a USMC veteran too, right? Marine Corps veteran?
Yes, I am.
When did you serve?
1966 to 1966 to 68, 12 months, 29 days in Vietnam, but I wasn't counting.
Thank you for letting us in on the fact that you will not be running for another term after your current term, so we could say we had it here first on Putnam Talk Radio. We'll talk between now and the time you leave office in the next 2.5 years. Thank you for joining us here today on Putnam Talk Radio, Southeast Town Supervisor Tony Hay. Much appreciated. I know you have a lot of work to do, so I'll let you get back to work. Enjoy this holiday Memorial Day weekend coming up, and let's see next time we talk if we are much closer to being out of COVID than we are right now. Thank you, Tony Hay.
Thank you, John. Appreciate the opportunity.
Great to talk to you and be here with you at Putnam Talk Radio. I'm John Marino. We are made possible by Sharc Creative. We are produced by Sharc Creative and sponsored by Entergy, the Indian Point Energy Center. We thank everybody at the Indian Point Energy Center and Entergy for all you've done for us throughout the years. All the best to you. Catch all of our Putnam, Rockland, Dutchess, Orange, Westchester, and Fairfield County talk radio programming on our YouTube channel, Sharc Creative, YouTube.